All right, we are going to get started shortly. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I've just got some more people joining us right now, and we will get started in a moment. I don't know where everybody is, but I have a beautiful sort of cloudy sunset out my window up here in Cobble Hill. It's a beautiful evening, no rain up here. So I don't know what's happening down south in Victoria and Langford, or where you are, Tom, in Vancouver.
Well, I'm working out of my cruise control basement right now, so I can't see down towards downtown in the island. But when I was having my dinner about half an hour ago, yeah, it was a beautiful sunset, and I can see the islands, the mountains, kind of at the south of the island, past downtown. We're coming North Vancouver, and I can't figure out which mountains they would be. Where would those? I think it'd be in this kind of the south of the island, but it looked beautiful anyway. It looked clear where you guys are.
Yeah, it's kind of cloudy here now, but the sun is just going down. There's some breaks in the cloud, so it's kind of a pretty one.
I'll take that. I was on the phone with some colleagues in Calgary earlier, and yeah, they had a rough week last week.
Yeah, geez, everyone's had a rough week out here, hey? So, all right, well, we're gonna start rolling in about 30 seconds. I'm just letting the last of the people join the meeting here. So one more minute, we'll give it, and then we'll get started. We got lots of people coming on tonight, so that's great.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
I'm Tina Ronce, and I'm trying to get in.
Yeah.
With my video. Oh, here we are. Start video.
Yeah, you can join with your video. There you are.
Are you seeing me?
Yes, I see you. I can see this much of you, your eyes.
Oh, isn't that a riot? Well, I'm seeing you with a beautiful glacier in the back.
Right? Fantastic, right?
I don't see anybody else. So shall I put share screen?
No, you don't need to do that. So when I finish talking, then you'll see Tom come on. And the only thing that I ask everybody to do in the next 30 seconds is just mute your line. So that there's no interference if your phone rings or dog barks or anything like that. That would be most appreciated. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to see some faces out there. All right, so I've got 6:31. I'm just letting the last of the folks in that were in the waiting room, and then I think we will get started. So welcome everyone, good evening. I'm coming to you from Cobble Hill with my cruise quarters here in my home office. And this is Alaska. So this is where I was last year, about a month ago. So yes, hoping to get there again. And Tom's gonna talk to us all about that. So welcome to our Travel Tuesdays. This is our, I think, fourth one that we've had. And tonight our guest is Holland America Line. We're going to talk about a little bit about our brand, Expedia Cruises, with our brand transformation. Most of you, if you've been on these calls, have heard me talk a little bit about this, but we just want to reinforce that we are your air, land, and sea vacation center. We are right in your community, in your neighborhood, and we thank you all for joining us and supporting local business. We're here for you. And the team, this is one of my favorite photos of them when we've been doing these Zoom calls. This goes way back months ago, and some of the team aren't here, but this was the majority of them, and we've got them all labeled. And this was just a great event that we had done, and a great capture by one of my staff, Lenora Perry, who captured this great photo when we're all laughing. But these guys have been working extra hard, and they are absolutely here for you. So give us a call, give us an email, come into the store, because we have been open since June 1st. Or you can do a Zoom call like this if you're not comfortable. So we've got several ways you can make contact. So whether it's in our store, in the home office, we are still here for you. So tonight, I want to introduce Tom Steer from Holland America Cruises, and he is going to take us on a little adventure about Travel Tuesdays and cruising with Holland America. Tom.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you very much. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our virtual event. I would love to be with you all there in person, like we would, you know, before the world was turned upside down, but this is a good second best. So yeah, relax, grab a beverage or a bowl of ice cream, whatever it is, on your sofa, wherever you are, sit back and enjoy it. I might be looking smart on my top half with my Holland America shirt, but I'm wearing my PJs on the bottom half. You can't see that. I'm doing the whole news anchor thing here tonight. But before we get started, I want to address something really important before we get into all the good stuff. I think it's really good to get it out of the way, first of all. And that is a burning question that many of you most likely have, and that is, what is happening with cruising once cruising resumes? What are we doing? What are our protocols, sanitation protocols and procedures? What's it going to look like? And we don't have a great deal of information to share yet, but we're working on it around the clock behind the scenes. There are protocols and procedures that we have already posted on our public website. Speak with your West Shore consultant about those, and they can share them with you. But you will be seeing more of these very soon. Right now, we're working with the CDC, the WHO, the Clear cruise brands, our sister cruise brands, all together. So we're in lockstep, and we're going to be announcing those procedures and protocols when we have them. Holland America's approach is, we don't want to inundate you with 100 pages of potential procedures to have to wind them back and adjust and give you contradictory information. So we want to get it right first time when we share that information. And something else that's worth noting, and this is what you'll see on the website, lots of information like this. I'm not going to run through it, but feel free to take a look at it in your own time. But do remember, when it comes to this type of thing, Holland America, and in fact all cruise lines, are coming from a different starting point. We don't have those ships with 4,000 people, and self-service buffets around the clock. Holland America has not had that, so we're kind of starting from a different place. It's not kind of equal across the board, but as we get more information on how we're adapting, we'll be sharing it. Hopefully over the coming weeks you'll see more. So with that said, that out the way, let's get started. I'll just kind of introduce myself super quick. My name's Tom. I am the representative for Holland America with our travel partners across Western Canada. I'm based in North Vancouver. And it's always a pleasure to talk about Holland America with fellow cruisers and fellow Holland America fans who love to cruise with Holland America. It's a cruise line that's very close to my heart. I've worked for Holland America for many years, both at sea and on land. I met my wife on board a Holland America Line ship. We named our kids after Holland America Line ships. Little Rotterdam is 4 and Noordam is 6. No, I'm joking. We just call them the Dam Kids. That's our favorite nickname for them. But in all seriousness, it's a fantastic brand. I know we've got some of you on the line this evening who are excuse me, Holland America fans who cruise Holland America on a regular basis, who have cruised Holland America very recently. Some of you have cruised Holland America, I understand, but maybe not so recently, maybe 5 years ago or so, or even longer. And there's some of you who haven't cruised Holland America before, and thank you for joining, to those of you who haven't. So for those of you who haven't cruised before with Holland America, or maybe for not some time, I'm going to give you a quick overview of what the experience is all about these days with Holland America. So we essentially say that we are the cruise line for explorers, foodies, and music lovers. Everything will become apparent in just a second with those. We're also free of things like roller coasters, go-karts, water slides. We don't have that. There's a market for those things, granted, but there's an increasing market for cruise ships without those, because there's folks who have kind of done that, and now they're looking for something, a cruise experience without those kind of, let's not say gimmicks, let's say extras. They don't need that. They're looking for other kind of fulfilling ways to enjoy themselves on board. And there are other folks who are coming from very small ships who want to have more space and maybe more options in terms of staterooms and suites, but they don't want all those things. They don't want bumper cars or roller coasters or go-karts, whatever you may find. So that's Holland America in a nutshell. And we do say we're perfectly sized rather than mid-sized. And this is key, because we used to say we're a mid-sized cruise line, right? Because if you look at the entire cruise industry, from the very largest ships to the smallest ships, we are right there. We're mid-sized. We are truly mid-sized. Our average ship size is around 2,000 guests. But there are other cruise lines that also were in that size range that have now grown to 3,000, 3,600 guests, but they still call themselves mid-sized. So we don't want to be kind of dragged along with that, and the perception being that we're bigger than we are. So that's why we call ourselves perfectly sized and much more spacious on board. We have things like the Magradome, the roofs that close in inclement weather. You can see on the top of the Noordam there. That isn't common in the cruise industry. It's a really cool feature, which means we can be anywhere in the world. And if the rain starts to pour, we close that roof, and that whole Lido pool area becomes a beautiful space for our guests to enjoy, which isn't common in the industry. Most usually on other cruise lines, you'll find everyone has to kind of go straight back down inside the ship if it rains. But yeah, it's just a unique feature of Holland America I wanted to point out while I saw it on the screen. So with that said, there is a lot going on underneath the hood, so to speak, with Holland. Lots of cool things to do. I'm not going to run through all of these. I might touch on a few of them, but there is a lot happening on board. There's a lot to kind of keep you busy on days at sea or evenings once we set sail. Lots of cool partnerships, some new ones that you may not have seen before. Holland America these days appeals to all types of cruisers. We've got the anniversary couples, you know, sisters getaway, girls getaway, where the whole family goes to Alaska. You know, it's called nature's greatest theme park for a reason. That's because the whole family can go there, the kids, grandparents, aunts, uncles. We have a really diverse range of cruisers coming to Holland America these days. And the reason we say we're for explorers, you saw the first slide there, it said we're for explorers, foodies, and music lovers. The reason we say this is because no other cruise line has the depth and breadth of itineraries and port experiences that we have. And what I mean by that is, in a year, we'll have visited over 470 ports, but we would have done that with 500 different itineraries. You never usually get that coverage, that itinerary count or the high port count together in the industry. And we've been doing it a long time, almost 150 years, which is pretty cool. So we've got relationships with these ports around the world, including places like Europe, Alaska, Asia, where it means we'll get you know, some of the finest port arrangements and best access in many of these ports. That plays out time and time again because we've been sailing there for so many years. Food. Now, we always say we're a cruise line for foodies, but you know, we've been a cruise line for foodies probably before the term foodie even existed. Everyone's a foodie, really, to different degrees. But I think the best way to kind of sum this up is, I guess to look at what else is out there. When you see the type of culinary offerings out at sea, and there's some wonderful food at sea. Now, it doesn't matter which cruise line you're sailing with, but it usually comes in one of two forms. Very small ships, where there's a central dining room option and then maybe one alternate place to eat, or you've got the same one dining room where it's the same menu every night, and then 15 or 20 paid alternate dining venues. We've got that wonderful sweet spot in the middle where we've got the classic dining room, whether it's open or fixed seating, and that's a different menu rotating every meal time, and then 4 or 5, depending on which ship you're on, exclusive alternate dining venues for certain types of cuisine to add kind of that extra special evening for a treat. So it's that nice balance that we have. And with our culinary on board, we don't just partner with one celebrity chef, you know, just to grab the attention because everyone knows that chef. We've got 8 of the world's finest chefs in their individual disciplines. Haven't got time to go through them all, but do feel free to look them up. Go check out our webpage on the Culinary Council. They're all restaurateurs, TV chefs, Michelin star chefs in their own right in various disciplines, and they all bring an energy to every menu around the ship every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. So they keep it fresh and changing constantly. That's why we find a team is better than one individual chef partner. Something else we're doing is bringing culinary into the port experiences, because we saw maybe in the last kind of 15 years, folks go and try river cruising. They did their few river cruises, and then they came back to ocean, because obviously there's more places you can get to with ocean cruising. But when they came back, we heard from them, and we kind of took their feedback that they want more up close and personal port experiences. They want to break bread with the locals, you know, visit those mum and pop restaurants, learn about the local ingredients with those locals in their kitchens. So that's what we do, you know, across our itineraries, across the continents, whether it's Europe, Asia, even in Alaska. We've got really cool foodie walking tours, going into the local kitchens in Alaska where locally sourced ingredients are being used. Go out with a visit the oyster farms and see how they're cultivated and the kelp and things like that. So foodie tours in the ports as well as the onboard experience. And the other thing I mentioned was music. The reason we are always talking about music is we really changed the game a few years ago. We set out to deliver the best music on the high seas. Obviously, entertainment's a big part of the cruise experience. But what we did was come up with a concept called Music Walk. And this might be new for a lot of you. We decided to keep these music venues within kind of one deck. So you're not kind of walking around the ship trying to find the next kind of place where something's happening. We've got one deck where all of these venues can be found, and it's called Music Walk. And we've got professional musicians in their own disciplines dedicated to playing. They're not just cruise ship musicians who jump from lounge to lounge wearing a different jacket or a different badge. We've got BB King's Blues Club, the BB King's All-Star Band, and they're playing. And these are professional musicians who have come through Beale Street, Memphis. They play with some of the greats, or they're kind of fresh young talent in the scene. This is an 8 to 10 piece band usually, and they're playing anything that gets the crowd on their feet. So they're playing everything from Chuck Berry to Bruno Mars, Beyonce, Stevie Wonder, you name it. And that's on the majority of our fleet now. So that's been something that we've won a lot of awards for, turned a lot of heads with, but that's not the only venue. You can see some others there. Billboard on Board is our way of making the piano bar more accessible. Those of you who cruised maybe Holland America quite a few years ago remember a very popular piano bar, but it was small. We opened it up and gave it its own lounge area. So it's got its own bar. You've got dueling piano entertainers playing all sorts of genres for the sing-alongs, and that is an awesome bar. I love walking past it, watching a new guest on board walk past and stand there just to hear one song, and then you come back 45 minutes later and they're still standing there, and then for the next session and the next night they're in there in that lounge. These are all individual entertainment lounges. They are their own show lounges in that respect. We've got the classics still with Lincoln Center Stage. That's not just the standard classics. They're doing classical fusions. They'll do kind of, Billy Joel meets Bach, or Chopin meets Coldplay. They'll do a show tune set. They'll mix it up. And then there's another one I'll tell you about a little bit later that's just been added to the mix of Music Walk. So yeah, music's a big deal. And the one other part that I guess it's really hard to convey this, but service is so important with Holland America. And I think the biggest, or this can be attributed, let's say, to the most important kind of part in this whole kind of experience that we deliver, and that is the crew, the incredible Indonesian team in our housekeeping and culinary department, and our Filipino team in the beverage department. They win hearts and minds with their service, and I'm sure many of you out there are nodding who've experienced this on board. They win hearts and minds for Holland America time and time again. And actually, it's not something we don't usually boast about, but we're quite often name checked internally for lots of organizations who aren't even in the hospitality industry as an exemplary example of what great hospitality means. We're kind of a name that gets circulated quite often, so we're very proud of achieving that. So here's a quick peek at the Dam fleet. I'm not going to run through every ship. This is the hardware, our 11 beautiful Dam ships. But the exciting news is we have a brand new baby on the way. And this is one of the Pinnacle class ships, the next Pinnacle class ships, next to the Pinnacle class ships. If Koningsdam was the kindergarten ship, Nieuwstatendam is the toddler, and then Rotterdam is the bun in the oven. This is the ship that's on her way. She's currently under construction in the yard, but we're really excited because she represents the 7th Rotterdam ship to be called Rotterdam within the fleet. So we're keeping that history and that lineage alive, and she becomes our flagship. So she is sailing next year in Northern Europe. And just so you know, if some of you haven't sailed on these Pinnacle class ships, they're only 15,000 tons larger than the last ships. We're not going over 100,000 tons. We're still on that kind of mid-size part of the spectrum. I speak with Holland America cruisers quite regularly, and I remember when we first introduced these ships, I was curious to see what they would think of this new, slightly larger ship, and just overwhelmingly, I've seen positive feedback. I remember one instance where I asked a gentleman, I said, and he told me he'd just been out for the Koningsdam inaugural. And I said, so what did you think? I thought, well, is he going to say too big for him or something like this? And he said, I loved it. I've booked to sail on her for 4 more cruises and on the inaugural of the new Staten Dam. So we know these Pinnacle class ships have been welcomed into the fold. They're beautiful Holland America ships through and through. So I'm just going to give you a sneak peek around the ship. I'm not going to stop for long to look at any of these, but these are the suites and staterooms, absolutely gorgeous suites and staterooms. All of the latest features are on board. There's some great information on this on our website, or you can better still speak with the Expedia Cruises West Shore team. They'll give you more information on what to find, what you'll find on board the ship. And this is, I should say, almost live. It's not quite live. I received this a few days ago, an update from our shipyard. This is the Fincantieri shipyard in Mestre, just across the water from Venice, where she's currently being fitted out. She's floated out. So she's now actually floating. She just floated out a few days ago. Now she's being fitted out internally. So yeah, she will be ready to sail before we know it. So I'm going to mention some of the itineraries. I'd love to talk about all of our itineraries. I don't think Janice will be happy if I talked about 500 itineraries tonight. So I promise I won't. Just a few things that I really want to share with you. Kind of some important sailings that have recently been released or have been redeployed as we've made some adjustments to our scheduling. Also, and some classic sailings that you should be aware of, especially if you're checking off the boxes of all the different destinations and cruise types you've sailed. So first of all, Europe. Now, if you haven't sailed Europe with Holland America, something that is worth considering is how unlike we are compared to the other lines, or how unlike the other lines we are, I should say, in this respect, because cruise lines usually fall into one of 2 categories. Either they're a North American cruise line that was created in North America, or they're a European cruise line that was created in Europe and maybe has a satellite office in North America. We're neither of those things. We have a European heart and soul that goes back 150 years. We've had a North American headquarters for 50 years now. We're based in Seattle. And that means we can deliver authentic European experiences because of our roots and our connection to those ports and those places, but we can deliver it for a North American cruiser. You're not switching to a brand that might not kind of get your tastes and wants and expectations, but you're also not getting kind of the phony experience, you know, just barely scratching the surface. It's just that wonderful mix. I think it's very similar to, you know, when you go to visit a friend or a family member who's been living in a new city or town or maybe overseas, you go to visit them and they give you the inside scoop. They take you around, show them all the places they like, show you all the places they like. So it's kind of that insider feel. That's our approach. So the Rotterdam, the ship you saw, is going to be visiting some of those key marquee ports in Northern Europe. One of my favorites, Bruges included. I loved it. Anytime I see that picture, I just instantly feel like I'm back there. If you haven't visited any of these ports, they're beautiful. Bruges just makes me think of that chocolate, the moulin frites, Belgian beer, walking through those canals. It's just like such a sight for sore eyes. Same with Stockholm, that Stockholm archipelago. You'll see lots of these ports, beautiful Bergen, that's another sight for sore eyes in the Norwegian fjords. You'll see a lot of these on the itineraries for the Rotterdam in her premiere season. She starts to sail August 1st. I don't have the dates on all of these itineraries, but speak with your Expedia Cruises consultant. They're taking place from midsummer onwards through the fall of next year. And folks who sail with Holland America on a regular basis often come from all over to be part of the inaugural experience with Holland America. And one thing I'd like to make clear is Holland America doesn't just have one inaugural sailing for a brand new ship. We don't just do a one and done. Here's the new ship. Here are the fireworks. Here are the, you know, fire boats. And this is the celebration. That's it. Now everybody go home. Or, you know, one alternate cruise. We do a rock star tour of different itineraries throughout all of Northern Europe and a bit of the Mediterranean. So you can stay on multiple cruises, take this one or another one. Every time we roll into a new port, there's a celebration with the authorities in that port. You know, I've done it myself a few times on a couple of Holland America ships, and you know, almost every day you're waking up to marching bands on the pier. It's absolutely fantastic. So this gives you an example of one of the itineraries. Bit of Norwegian fjords, bit of Iceland, 3 ports in fact in Iceland with an overnight stay in Reykjavik, which if you were to fly and sail and visit yourself would not be the cheapest vacation if you were just flying in and doing a land package in Iceland. We're giving it to you as part of the cruise. So great value there. The Shetland Islands, so you can meet some of those fabulous Shetland ponies up close and personal, and the Neolithic remains, very cool spot. Invergordon for Inverness, for Loch Ness, Edinburgh as well. And then we do those classic Baltic sailings as well as the Norwegian fjords. Our ships, by the way, that sail in Northern Europe in 2021 have all been approved to visit parts of the Norwegian fjords that many other ships around the world have been turned away from because of emission requirements. Our ships meet those, so we're very proud to be part of the environmental standards in the Norwegian fjords, which is absolutely, is a stunning place to visit. But a lot of these ports here you see are in the Baltic, the Hermitage, where you can, in St. Petersburg, that you can spend 2 days in. If you take a Baltic sailing, it's about visiting the Hermitage, St. Catherine's Palace, the Church of the Spilt Blood. You can do so much with 2 days in St. Petersburg. In fact, I'll go as far as to say, if you haven't sailed in Northern Europe before, this is the one to start with. On the left-hand side of the screen, it's the natural next step in cruising if you've done the Mediterranean already, because you've got that wonderful mix of culture, art, language, cuisine, history. It's very kind of fast-paced but relaxing at the same time. You've got Warnemünde, which is a beautiful German fishing town, but also gateway to Checkpoint Charlie and the Cold War landmarks. Stockholm, as you've seen, medieval Tallinn. And what you see on the right-hand side is an example of how we combine two sailings and how you can do it. Speak with your Expedia Cruises, West Shore consultant. They'll show you how easy it is to put two cruises together. So you do the Baltic and then the transatlantic when she finishes the season and comes home. That's just an example. So you get all those ports together and you get about a 10% discount for doing that. You stay in your room all the way through. It's a great way to make longer experiences. These are some other ways you can do it during the Rotterdam's premier season. Combine the fjords with the Iberian Peninsula, the fjords with the Baltic. So lots of ideas there. And her sister ship, by the way, I must just make honorable mention. This is her sister, the Rotterdam sister. She's going off the beaten track a little bit. She'll go all the way around to the North Cape of Norway. She'll do the British Isles in depth. You're getting England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Ireland. Cove for Cork, where you can visit Blarney Castle and kiss the Blarney Stone and get the gift of the gab. If you don't already have it, you might have it, I don't know. Dublin, which is the biggest city in the world. It's the biggest city in the world because it keeps doubling and doubling and doubling. Yeah, I can almost hear your laughter through the webcam. I can't believe it. So these are some other options. It's not just about Rotterdam in Northern Europe. There are other ships sailing too. So I just wanted to mention that. And if you haven't had dinner already, I'm sorry for showing this slide because the Mediterranean is, for many people, all about the culinary. Just look at that. Yeah, I'm salivating. Look at that screen, and I've already had my dinner. But I had to eat with a 4-year-old and 6-year-old tonight. So it was chicken strips and French fries this evening. It wasn't quite as exotic as this. But yeah, the culinary in the Mediterranean is to die for. So that is a big attraction. What we're doing in the Mediterranean, and why I want to show you this, what we're doing in 2021 is very different. We're adding some classic sailings that you wouldn't have been able to do if you'd cruised with Holland America in the Mediterranean in the last 5, 6, 7, even 8 years. We're bringing them back. We're adding new ports for the cruise connoisseur. I'll show you exactly what we mean. Istanbul is back on the cruise map. Now, Istanbul is one of my favorite cities. It changes by night, taking a whole new perspective at night to the daytime. You can visit the Hagia Sophia, the Blue Mosque, Topkapi Palace, the Kumkapi Fish Market, incredible dinners on the Bosphorus, cruising the Bosphorus at night. An incredible port, which we're now sailing to, which we weren't for a few years. It was kind of off the cruise map. We've got Westerdam doing these kind of more, let's say, or unique Mediterranean sailings, as you can see here. And this is the one that includes Istanbul the most. It's on the Westerdam. We're actually just changing it from Zuiderdam to Volendam. Those are being updated very soon. But this sailing features Istanbul for 2 days. So you sail up through the Dardanelles into the Bosphorus, dock in Istanbul for 2 days, an overnight stay. The cruise starts with 2 days in Venice. So you get an overnight stay in Venice. It cuts out the need for a hotel. And that can be combined with the more glitzy, kind of glamorous end of the Mediterranean. So you've got this also with an overnight stay in Venice, 2 days in Venice. So that means you can combine them and put them together with the help of your Expedia Cruises consultant and make a 24-day back-to-back sailing, get a 10% price break, and you get 3 days in Venice in the middle, almost 3 full days in Venice. So incredible value when you put these cruises together. And just 2 more, these are for the cruise connoisseur. I mentioned this before. We're trying to offer certain sailings, or actually a decent selection of sailings, where you're not just hitting the big ports, because it can get busy in the Mediterranean. If some of you have sailed there in the last maybe 5 years or so, some of those big marquee ports do get busy. So we're aware of that, and we're aware that there's a lot of folks who want to experience cruising the Mediterranean like you would have experienced it 30 years ago or 40 years ago, where you roll into a port and it's just your ship, a smaller town. So we're purposely not visiting Dubrovnik on some of these itineraries. A beautiful city, but there are other great examples of those kind of Croatian seaside towns. We're visiting Split, which is another larger town, but also smaller towns like Var, like Rijeka, like Korčula, also Slovenia with Koper, lesser known towns, also Marmaris in Turkey. So lots of options to go off the beaten track in the Eastern Med and the Greek islands. So I'm going to switch gears super quick and talk about Alaska. The reason is because what I'm hearing, and I know Janice at the team at Expedia Cruises West Shore are hearing, that for some of you, when you travel in 2021 or perhaps even 2022, you might want to stay closer to home. If that is what you're thinking, there are some great reasons to go back to Alaska. Obviously, for us on the West Coast, it's super convenient. And a lot of you, I'm sure, get to watch those ships sailing up the Inside Passage on a regular basis, and perhaps not this year, but you're used to seeing it. And when you see one, you think, I wouldn't mind being on that deck right now on that ship sailing away up to Alaska. So there are some really cool options for you to do that this summer coming in 2021. If you're not familiar with Holland America and Alaska, we are a name that's synonymous with Alaska cruising. We've been going there with a land operation, not only just cruising, but a land operation since before Alaska was even a state. Over 70 years ago. We've got world-class programming that we win awards for on a regular basis. The way we create the itineraries and the history we have with the ports, and the fact we have more ships than anyone else, is something that we're known for. And we often talk about the fact we have so many Glacier Bay permits. What this means is we can spend more time there and do that on more itineraries. So here's an easy way to think of it. If you had an option between 3 cruise lines visiting a certain port, one cruise line didn't visit there at all, the other cruise line visited there for 2 hours, and the other had a full day visit, obviously you'll go with the one that visits for the full day. That's how we approach Glacier Bay, because that full day's experience gives us multiple glacier viewing options, not just the beautiful Marjorie Glacier that's behind Janice right now. So it's more value. That's a whole extra day of your cruise experience that you're paying for, that if you go with another cruise line, you're not going to get a full day in that place. It seems so obvious when you kind of break it down, but it's always worth being reminded of that. And the reason this little fella here is clapping his hands is because the big deal for us in 2021 is our pinnacle class ship, the Koningsdam, sister to that brand new ship Rotterdam. She is going to be in Vancouver for the first time, sailing every Saturday round trip from Vancouver. And she's, like I say, she's only 2,600 guests, just under 100,000 tons. She gets under the Lionsgate Bridge, no problem. We don't have to wait for low tides or any of that. She's sailing every Saturday round trip. The classic itinerary, docking downtown in Juneau and Skagway, etc., the full day Glacier Bay. So there are Koningsdam sailings throughout the summer, every Saturday. So if you're thinking, yeah, we might stay closer to home, but I love the sound of that brand new ship that I was just talking about, you can get a very similar experience on a brand new pinnacle class ship, the Koningsdam, out of Vancouver. She is coming to the West Coast for the first time. So I'm really excited, as you can tell. It's going to be a first for everyone to experience. And she has some added features. Remember I talked about the music on board? Aside from the lounges I mentioned, we've also got Rolling Stone's Rock Room, the Rolling Stone Rock Room, which is classic 60s and 70s rock. You know what I'm talking about, that classic pub rock, playing all those iconic rock songs from those classic eras, and they're incredibly professional And so they're firing on all 4 cylinders while you've got BB King's just down the way, everyone dancing away, switching out with Billboard on board, all these incredible music shows happening around the music walk area of the ship. So really exciting stuff. We've also got new areas and new lounges like the Grand Dutch Cafe. This will be our second coffee shop on board, and it's got this wonderful area for viewing that looks out onto the ocean, and then an area kind of around the atrium where you can kind of just people watch and enjoy the hubbub. But what we do there is we serve Dutch crepes and treats, pastries, and things like, you know, coffee, teas served on in Royal Dutch earthenware, Dutch lager, all in this beautiful, authentic Dutch surround. So that's a new venue. Also, the dining room. Look how lovely and spacious and fresh the dining room is on the Pinnacle class ships. So very welcoming. You're not crammed in. You've got that open space that kind of mid-size field provides. And Janice has some news actually on this particular itinerary. Isn't that right, Janice?
I sure do, Tom. There's a lot of people that have expressed interest in Alaska for next year because, as you pointed out, it's really close to home. It's an easy get to for us. And for me, I'm super excited because I haven't been on this Pinnacle class. So we've got May 22nd, 21 aboard the Koningsdam for a 7-night on this itinerary. A couple of our agents are already on that with some guests. And also we're hosting August 14th as well, if that date works better for you. So many of our clients haven't been on this new Pinnacle class. So myself, I can't wait to get on board. So reach out to your vacation consultant and ask us about what we're doing for 2021. So we'd love you to come on board with us.
Yeah, that's a great way to travel. If there's a group where you can all be together and have a familiar face from the West Shore team, it just makes it extra special. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
speak with the team about those. Yeah.
Awesome. And so, Tom, one of the questions that we've been getting lately is, you know, if we're not interested in Alaska, what other West Coast options does Holland America have for us?
Right. Well, yeah, it kind of fits in nicely with the Koningsdam because obviously we bring a brand new ship to the West Coast to sail Alaska. We're not going to be sailing Alaska in the winter. Well, not yet anyway. So what's she going to do outside of that Alaska season? So good question. So the options will include on that brand new ship, the Koningsdam, 2 sailings to Alaska round trip. Now, obviously, sorry, to Hawaii round trip. Obviously, we have other Hawaii sailings from San Diego, but this is a great way to do it round trip from Vancouver. So a few extra days at sea, but you've got all those cool features to explore on board. And these are taking place kind of on the shoulder seasons, just before or just after Alaska. So when next summer's Alaska season wraps up, we're doing this wonderful 18-day sailing. And then before the next Alaska season in 2022 starts, we're doing another one of these sailings. That's shortly kind of after or before she spends her full winter in Mexico. So that's where she is for the remainder of the winter. And on the West Coast as well, there are 2 ships that you may be familiar with because they both sailed out of Vancouver before. 2 sister ships, the signature class ships, sailing the Panama Canal. Now, the Panama Canal is different every time. And we actually have been through a few years, not just because of the cruise kind of operations overall being on pause right now, but for the last 4 seasons over the last 2 years, we haven't had that many Holland America sailings through the canal from Vancouver or to Vancouver, just because the way our ships have been deployed. So for the next 3 seasons, we've got some really good opportunities to experience the canal on one of these 2 signature class ships. So you can see these are the key dates. And the Panama Canal, like I say, it's not an area that you can say, oh, I've been there, done that. You may have gone through the canal, but the ports you pick up along the way are always different. You know, you've got the canal experience itself, but you've also got the ecology and wildlife, the ancient ruins, the beaches, the colonial towns. There's just such a nice mix there with the Panama Canal. So lots of dates to look at if you want to kind of slot a Panama Canal into your future plans. Now you're starting to dream and plan and kind of get some cruises on the books or on the back burner. So speak with the Expedia Cruises team about that. yeah, so that's those West Coast options, Janice, essentially, in a nutshell.
Awesome. And that was actually the last Holland America group that I did, was actually coming back through the canal on the Rotterdam up to Vancouver. We did 24 days. It was amazing. It was my first time through the canal. And at that time, the new canal was just about finished. So we got to transit on the old canal, but actually watch what was happening on the new canal. So if you haven't done the Panama Canal, it's definitely a bucket list. And so we have a lot of clients that are actually, I mean, I'd say our trends right now are longer. So what are the longer voyages that Holland America's got coming up in 21, 22, Tom?
Well, we've got quite a few, and there's a lot of interest across the board in these. Like you say, you're hearing it from some of your loyal clients. They want to do something longer, because I guess, essentially, folks have had to sit on the sidelines, and they want to get back out there, and they're thinking, well, I've missed X amount of days when I could have been out there cruising, and they're just adding more to the length of the cruises that they're now planning for the following kind of year or two. So it's a phenomenon we're seeing. So we've got some great options. This is one of my favorites, Voyage of the Vikings. It sells out quickly every year, and it's pretty obvious when you look at it, the reason why, because it allows you to do Northern Europe, including Iceland and Greenland, round trip from North America. So you get to Boston, you fly into Boston early, and then you've got this wonderful northern route that you sail, and it includes the eastern seaboard, east coast of Canada, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, as well as those wonderful overnight stays in key ports like Reykjavik, Lake Sails out of Dublin. So a really cool itinerary, and it's probably the only one that I know of that we have not failed to sail it every year. Usually with these longer type of specialist sailings, we'll do it 1 year, maybe give it a break for a year or so, wait for the demand to build back up, bring it back in the next year or the year after to vary. With this one, there's so much demand every year. We do it every year because there are folks out there looking at it while they're looking at their regular 10 or 12-day cruises thinking, one day we're going to do that 35-day Boston to Boston. And they end up doing it. So that's one of my favorite ones to share. But out of the West Coast, we've got some really cool sailings. This is, let me start with the one on the right-hand side, which is out of the West Coast. Round trip San Diego, the South Pacific and Hawaii. You've got that wonderful exploration of the South Pacific. So relaxing, all those days at sea. And this is for the first time on the Rotterdam, or I should say on a Vista class ship. That means that this sailing now will have more veranda staterooms available. We used to only offer these sailings on the smaller ships that only had regular ocean views, and if you wanted a balcony, you're paying for a suite, which is fantastic. A lot of you love to book those suites, but there are some folks who have become accustomed to just booking a balcony stateroom, which is a veranda stateroom, so one of the veranda categories. And the Rotterdam has many of those. She's 80% veranda. Most of the rooms on board her have a balcony. So this means there's great value and great rates now to travel to the South Pacific with a balcony. Because when you're down there with that beautiful weather and that incredible scenery, stunning views, you want to have that balcony. So now you can do that on a Vista class ship. That's in February 2022. And then on the left-hand side, another classic on, again, a Vista class ship for the first time, that has those extra balconies. We haven't had it on one of those ships before. Amsterdam, sailing round trip Sydney for the Australia circumnavigation. This is, I guess you could say, bucket list, right? This is a once in a lifetime experience. It's very unusual to cruise to some of these parts of Australia, especially on the western coast of Australia, up through Indonesia and down through the Barrier Reef as well. It's not common, and that's why this cruise is so popular. So yeah, in November of 2021, you'll find this 30-day itinerary. And since we're going for the big ones, let's talk about the Grand Voyages. We have 3 cruises that are called Grand Voyages, and they have their own set of kind of amenities, and they are the ones that, let's say, everyone gradually works towards, because they are slightly longer. This one's 71 days. But these cruises sell out every year. Fort Lauderdale round trip, the Grand Africa Voyage. So this is incredible. Overnight stays in Aqaba, the Seychelles, Zanzibar. So this is just amazing for the safaris, overnight stays in Cape Town. So you're getting so many ports that you wouldn't be able to visit on a ship, from the comfort of a ship, all now on the Zandam. This is sailing in October 2021. The same with South America. This is an opportunity to get that Amazon experience all the way down to Manaus, to get the Antarctic experience, to get the Panama Canal experience, also the Machu Picchu experience. The way we well, the way we handle our overnight stays out of Callao for Lima means you can do Machu Picchu as part of this experience. So yeah, hitting all the big kind of bucket list destinations in South America and more. So yeah, that's the penultimate, let's say, and this is the big one. This is the Grand Voyage, only just released for 2022, an incredible route. Look, I think this itinerary has been one of the most popular Grand Voyage itineraries I've seen for a few years, and they're always kind of pre-picked by the guests from the previous Grand Voyages. They get a sneak peek at what itineraries we could potentially offer, and they choose what they would like to see. So this has been kind of hand selected, this itinerary. Incredible overnight stays all the way through Asia, so 2 days in a lot of these key ports, through the Suez, through the Gulf, the Mediterranean as well. And it isn't true what they say, that you gain £1 for every day you're on board, because you'd be in trouble on a Grand Voyage. But this voyage, this sailing is, the granddaddy of them all, and we sell out very quickly every year with these. So if you are interested, if you think it's time, you're about there, ready to do the big one, speak with the Expedia Cruises team. There are some really nice amenities you get. You have to book over a certain category of stateroom, ocean view stateroom, but you get some a wealth of amenities that really add some incredible value to this, and peace of mind as well at the same time. So yeah, speak with the team about that. Now I'm just going to wrap up now by just mentioning some of the offers we have in general. Most of these you're about to see don't apply to the Grand Voyages. The Grand Voyages have their own kind of set of offers because they are unique. Those last three we've seen, but the others would all come under this umbrella. Right now we have something called Book with Confidence. I believe this actually is going to run a little bit further into November as well. And that is, if you book now, any booking you make, you can cancel up to 30 days prior to sailing and get a future cruise credit. Peace of mind. So it makes it much more relaxing and not stressful. If you're putting something on the books for 2021 or 2022, cancel up to 30 days prior, no problem. And now this is the big promotion running right now for the next week. It's called Save Now, Cruise Later. And if you are in that mode right now where you're thinking, let's put something on the books, let's plan, and let's lock something in for 21 or 2022, you will be able to get the kitchen sink. You'll get everything. So the beverage package, prepaid gratuities, the dining package. So you get 2 complimentary alternate dining room experiences, alternate dining experiences. If you're in any type of suite category, you get complimentary internet. And basically this combines with the offers and specials that you'll get through Expedia Cruises West Shore. There's a couple of other little offers that you can take advantage of as well. If you wanted to just pay for your cruise early, pay the whole thing early, if it's more than 120 days out, you can get a 10% discount and shipboard credit. If you want to just put down an installment, just pay 1 installment, you can get extra shipboard credit. Speak with the Expedia Cruises team about that. If you have a future cruise credit already, you just need to put down your regular deposit, then pay 1 of these installments, and then use your future cruise credit, and you're good to go. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah, that is the second offer there, but it really all culminates with this one, which is the kind of bespoke offer that Janice and I have put together for booking through Expedia Cruises West Shore for the next 4 or 5 days or so. You will get extra shipboard credits on top of what we've already mentioned. So you've got those great deals, but you'll get extra shipboard credits, extra spending money on board. And speak with the Expedia Cruises team about this, because they essentially have all the deals at their fingertips. this means that whatever the offer is, whatever offers are out there, they have access to them. They have information about them, and they can find the best deal for you. They can compare deals for you. And please always make sure you're booking through Expedia Cruises West Shore rather than coming directly to Holland America. You'll always get the better deal by booking through Expedia Cruises West Shore, because they have access through their network to an economy of scale that you don't. They have the ability to leverage group blocks that we call in the trade, and that doesn't mean you're sailing with a group of other people. It just means they are essentially blocking a large number of staterooms on every sailing all the time, and when they do that, we pass on rates to them to pass on to you. So that's why you'll always want to look to work with your Expedia Cruises consultant West Shore, instead of coming to Holland America. So that's one side of it. But another reason to work with them is because they are your let's say personal cruise consultant, and they are there for you in a pinch. We've seen earlier this year situations where obviously people were stuck when their travel plans, let's say, disintegrated, flights cancelled, whatever it may be. So, fast forward to life in a normal world as we resume normal operations, flights can still get delayed, or deviated, cancellations. Your Expedia Cruises consultant is a phone call and an email away, based in your local community. They are there for you. They're not a switchboard or a call center, in another city or another country. So they are there for you. So they got the expertise across all the cruise lines with all the latest deals and offers, the know-how, the inside scoop. So do make sure you're working with them. So I think that's it from me, Janice, unless any other questions have come up.
No, I think we're pretty good. Thank you for that ending. We absolutely appreciate everyone supporting local business, and we've got a great clientele for sure, and we appreciate that loyalty. Just a quick message about future cruise credits. Some of you may have them, or you maybe know friends or family that also have them. We would love to be your travel agency first choice for sure. We've lost some of our competition in the travel industry, and that's not a good thing for the travel industry at all. But we want to make sure that you know that we're here. And as Tom said, travel plans disintegrated earlier in the year, and now it's even going to be more complicated as we start to rebook in this new world. There's going to be all these safety protocols and different changes on processes and airlines. And so I think it's going to be more important than ever to use a travel advisor. So we absolutely love referrals, and we appreciate that. And we just want to make sure that we want to welcome you aboard. So if it's Alaska, we've got a couple of groups, and we do with Expedia Cruises have that group block pricing. And what I would like to encourage is that even if you're thinking of something, it's a really great time to actually place a deposit down. If you choose not to do a non-refundable, there's really no risk. But what it's guaranteeing you is actually the availability that you want. So Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but the ships aren't all going to come back probably at once. And when they do, they might be at, say, 65% full. So inventory levels for 21, we're finding at our team level, are already depleting. And on top of that, our good group rates are already seeing that diminish. So please reach out to your vacation consultant on any kind of media, and we're happy to answer any of those questions or just talk travel. So thanks so much for joining us. And Tom, thank you so much. Have a great evening with those damn kids. And we can't wait to sail on Holland America again.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Janice, for having me.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Good night.